don't have to look broke on paper in order to hide money from the IRS.
Right.
I can just store it into an account that's growing and compounding interest more than it's doing in my bank, and I can still make money and I can still come out on top.
Welcome to another chapter of the King's Experience. I'm your host, Mark Chill. As always, we got my man Jeff, the voice of the people, with us. AB is out on business. But joining us on the couch today, we got some powerhouses. We got Bree Buckner and Miss Deja Benton, the accountant. Welcome, ladies.
Hello, hello. Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us. We're excited to be here.
This is interesting. You guys wear a lot of hats. You know, especially you, Bree. You wear a lot of hats.
Just a couple.
You're also a mother.
Right, that
Right.
part. Full-time job, okay?
So how do you handle all that?
I got help, y'all. Like, I look like a one-woman show, but I got a lot of help. I got assistants. I got a virtual assistant in the Philippines. My cousin is my assistant. She lives here. So I got a lot of help. There's a lot of hands in the pot to make sure all of this look good all the time. So it's just not me. It's just not me. As much as I would love to take all the credit, I can't.
They say that having a team is super important.
Yep, facts. And people are scared of delegation. They don't know how. They don't know how to let go. That's one thing I'm actually dealing with one of my clients currently. So you need to trust who you hire, trust your judgment, and trust their skills to know that they're actually going to deliver as well as you would for your business.
Say that again.
You need to trust. Trust. Can we put that up top? No.
No, absolutely. It is difficult to find people that want
That's
to
true.
be led too. You know, you as an accountant, I'm pretty sure you can attest to, people coming and going, so to speak, as far as the amount of clientele that either brings you in or that you bring in, right?
Yeah, but I always also love the fact that in my business, it's very fact-based. It's not a lot of opinion. It's not a lot of what I think or even what my clients think. Most of what I do is garnered out of black and white. So whether you agree with the numbers or not, here's what it is. Here's what we should do. And just with my expertise, I'm able to help guide you on the path of things that you're creating within your business. But ultimately, how you run it is going to show in your numbers.
Yeah.
And that's just what I like to get my clients to see. You can have $1 million business, but if it costs you $900,000 to run it, you don't have $1 million business. And ultimately, a lot of people don't understand that when they make a spectacle of their goals without actually zooming in on the things that really make you scale and really make you grow. So.
Yeah, that really hits home for me because I did mortgages for the last 10 years, and you'd be like, people would call in and say, I make $300,000, and I'm like, okay, well,
Show me your tax returns.
With them P&Ls,
Show me your tax
on your
returns.
taxes.
And then they call me and they're like, oh my God, Deja, my last accountant put that I made $5,000 because they deducted everything.
Not
Yeah.
good.
And I'm like, okay, so what do you want to do? Because now we can amend it and we can show forth that you made the $100,000, but now you owe $15,000 to the
Right,
IRS, including
right.
penalties, because basically you lied and said, hey, I spent all my money on running the business, but you forgot to mention that you also were in the process of wanting a home or a car or whatever those other
Right.
things are. And you unfortunately cannot, that's why I love the black and white part of what I do. You cannot negate what's on paper when it comes
Yeah.
to your tax returns and when it comes to your financials. So
No, that's true. I ran into that actually because I'm completely self-employed, so I really don't have full transparency, I really didn't have no personal income because my accountants wasn't doing it right. So I really wasn't paying myself like I was supposed to. And being the fact that my salon is an S corp, there's really strict guidelines on paying myself. And so I will always, show a deficit or really low income on the business side. And I have ran into trouble trying to qualify for different things because they're like, no, shorty, you don't make money.
Right.
But one thing I'm going to say is I feel like when you are a W-2 employee, people don't say how much is your, your profits at the end of all your expenses. You could be a W-2 employee and gross whatever you gross and still spend all your money.
Right.
And no one's looking at that. Just as a business owner, they're looking like at everything and my bottom line. But I feel like as a W-2 employee, I can still spend all my money, but you still gonna give me a house because you're like, oh, you make $150,000. As a business owner, I do too.
All they care about is showing that they getting their taxes.
Right.
You know,
And the certainty of you being able to stay employed. It's a greater chance of you being able to stay employed with ABC company, that's been in business for 40 plus years, than for you staying employed at your business that you've been in for 2 years. They're like, the likelihood of, y'all are not even competing at that point. So they're like, we trust ABC company to cut you a check. We don't know what you can actually produce on your own. And when your tax returns don't reflect that, that's a really big deal. And I've had a lot of clients who are like, can you come and help me? Because so-and-so just put, I don't know what they put. And I'm like, you guys didn't talk about your return after it was done. Like, they just gave you the paper. But in my industry, I tell people this a lot, you have to decide if you want a compliance accountant or an advisory accountant. Those are two different people. A compliance accountant is someone who just, you give them the paperwork and they go ahead and they do the, put in the data entry. Here's your taxes, we're done. You have no idea what's on that paper. They know what's on it, but they're not asking you many questions. They don't really care. Everything is done and you talk to them next year. An advisory accountant, someone like myself, I want to talk about the ins and outs. So if you don't want a relationship where we talk, you are not a good client for me, because I'm going to want to know why you're spending $1,500 at Neiman Marcus and calling it a business expense, And you just telling me because you just wanted to doesn't work out. Like, I'm going to want to have those kind of conversations and advise you on ways that we can either decrease deficits to increase income. And furthermore, tax shelter is much better than depreciation. Like, that's another thing.
Explain that. What is tax shelter and its
all right, because I'm getting excited.
I know, right?
So a lot of people, what social media oftentimes will show people is write off everything, write off your life. Everything's a big write-off. You want it, go buy it, write it off, right? Unfortunately, it doesn't really work like that. Writing things off is essentially you saying, I spent the money that's coming from my business to also put back into my business. Therefore, I really didn't make the money. That's what you are saying when you go to write stuff off. So in you depreciating the value of how much money your business actually made, you're saying, no, we didn't make $100,000, but because it cost me $85,000 to run it. So really, we didn't make, the $100,000 that was actually coming in because it cost us. Tax shelter, which is a whole nother word that so many people don't understand. When let's say you are an S Corp, right? You're an LLC, but you're taxed as an S Corporation. At that point, you now have the power to take whatever that gross is of that business, and you can store away 25% of that right off the top. Let's say you got a business, it made $100,000. You take 25% of that $100,000, you automatically put that into a self-directed 401k. And that's compounding at an interest of 9 to 11%, no matter what. That is just market rate of return, history of the world. That's just what happens. COVID, Ebola, whatever. That's what's going to happen. Because people be like, what happens if the market crashes? Your money is still growing. Like, that's what's going to happen. So you take that 25% and you go and you tax shelter that into a self-directed 401k on top of an additional $2,500. On your tax return, that is automatically going to count into putting that away for retirement. That is a deduction, but it's not a deduction in the form of depreciation. It's a deduction in the form of an investment. And that's where people's minds need to start shifting and saying, I don't have to look broke on paper in order to hide money from the IRS.
Right.
I can just store it into an account that's growing and compounding interest more than it's doing in my bank, and I can still make money and I can still come out on top.
But with that though, don't they have to pay the taxes down the line when they start drawing it out?
It depends on which account you get. So yes, of course you do. You can do one of two things. So I like to start a lot of people off with either traditional IRA or a Roth IRA, right? Biggest differences between both. The traditional allows for you to take the tax now. The Roth allows for you to take it later. So if you have a traditional IRA, you can depreciate that now. It's going to deduct now and say, hey, so and so had $5,000 come out and go towards her traditional, so we're going to take that amount away from that AGI. If you have a Roth, yes, you pay the taxes now and you can't write it off, But when you go to take that money out, then you don't have to pay taxes on it. So if you're putting away, $6,500 is the max now. If you're putting away $6,500 for the next 20 years, compounding interest 9 to 11%, right? You're gonna have on the upwards of $300,000 sitting. And a Roth, you're not paying any taxes on it at the end because you've paid it during the duration.
Right.
On a traditional, you are going to pay taxes when you go to withdraw it, but you've taken advantage of writing it off every single year that you were able to contribute to it.
Right, so you're still coming out on top.
So you're still coming out on top either way. But people think like, write it off, write it off, write it off. And I get scared. Like when I talk to people who think like, they're like, well, can you just make me not pay like as least as possible? I don't have that power. Like, I'm not a magician.
Right.
You will buy the book. You will buy the book account.
And it's not even by the book. I'm by my clients. Like I try to make sure I do what's in the best interest of my client. And if you're gonna end up calling me because now you are under investigation, then I'm doing a disservice to myself because now I gotta stop what I'm doing and dealing with your problems. So I'd rather us do this the right way. The way that's gonna save you the most money, of course.
Yeah.
But do this the right way first, than for us to just go play tax and then come back and we both don't know what happened. Now I'm like, I don't even remember.
But that's the thing. It's like you can still be legitimate and still come out on top. Like what they was talking about. I don't know what millionaire white man they was talking about, but he only paid a couple dollars.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like in taxes, and I'm sure it was all legitimate and by the book.
Yeah.
But
There
it's
you
just
go.
like when you know the law and you know strategies, then it works out in your favor. You don't have to scheme and lie and fraud. Like no, you can just read the law, study the law, have someone who knows what to do, and have them do it right. Like
Right. I mean that book is not say by the book, but that book is so big. You know what I'm saying?
And it's always
That's a
changing.
big-ass book.
Like it's always changing, like all the time. But there's some things that are just boilerplate. Like another method that a lot of people don't take advantage of is the gift tax and writing things out just in the form of a gift. Like, and a lot of celebrities and stuff, we see them do this, right? I remember, I think Kevin Durant gave back in Maryland or something like that. And everyone at home is like, oh my God, he's so great, he gave back. No, it's the end of the year and he getting the write-offs.
Right.
So when they have conversations about people like Donald Trump or Jeff Bezos or whoever, not paying anything in taxes, it's not because they just didn't contribute to the economy.
No.
It's just because they gave money in other ways and they've done enough.
But
Like,
can we
that's
talk
it.
about the fact that the government praises business owners?
Exactly.
Like you are, as a business owner, you're helping the economy, you're providing jobs, employment, services, whatever it is. So you get all of these write-offs and beautiful things for doing it. And so I tell everybody, especially people, we're here in Arizona, it's $85 to get an LLC. It takes 5 minutes and they approve it immediately.
Wait a second. Where did I see 200? Where did I see 200?
Because you probably went to
You went to
E-File or LegalZoom.
you went to,
but we
like,
could go
Northwest
to
Agency.
AZE Corp Secretary of State right now. Before we get off this podcast, we all got new LLCs.
Word. We have to do that.
No, like literally, like that's what I did for my stylist the other day. I'm like, come on, girl, look, let's go
Let's
online.
just do it.
And it's like, guide me or frequent user. I'm like, we frequent users around here, like
Let's
$85.
I got a question.
Go ahead.
LLC wise, as soon as you get it, don't you need to be applying that LLC to something? You can't just sit on it once you get it, right? Or can you?
You can actually, and I tell people you don't have to go out and start this big old business. Just get it, let it build its history, and let it build its age, and it stays. In the state of Arizona, you don't have to pay every year. California, you got to pay like $800 a year to hold the LLC.
Yeah, certain states you gotta renew annually.
Correct, but ASU, gosh, Lee, Arizona, Arizona, you don't have to. You just get the LLC, and it's for the lifetime, and it's there,
Now-
and it's not expensive.
Now, granted, we're in Arizona, so if you're operating a business out of Arizona,
Correct.
you know what I'm saying?
Correct.
then you want to have it here, but obviously you got places like Nevada, Wyoming,
Yep, Delaware.
Delaware that are like super tax havens.
Yeah. So I want an anonymous LLC. No, I don't really know why, but I just.
It sounds
Because it's anonymous.
Yeah, right. You know,
They can't find your information. That's all.
Right.
That's really all it is.
But you file it like normally on your taxes, like.
It's all the same.
Okay.
Yep. So you do hair?
Kinda, yeah. So
Kinda.
yes, I do. I'm in the salon a couple days a week.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you also have the content. How did you get into that?
All right, so I think everything kind of just like gradually like snowballed. So my goal, my plan was never to do hair full time. Was never to own a salon. It was not the plan at all. It just kind of happened naturally because I always liked to do hair. I was good at it. When I graduated college, I was like 8 months pregnant, and I'm like, okay, well, what are you gonna do, Brianna? So I went to cosmetology school, hated it, and took I dropped out like 3 times. It was worse than college.
Really?
It was worse than college, cosmetology school was. But I had a brand new baby. I was working full time. I was going to cosmetology school from 5:30 to 10 p.m. at night. It was just a lot going on. I hated it. Like, it is not for the weak. So eventually, all of that snowballed into the salon. And so I got my storefront in 2020, April of 2020, COVID shut us all down. So I went, I was at home, without a plan really. And so that's kind of how I got into the business coaching, because I realized the government was giving free money to everybody. If you had a business, you got money. But that part. But a lot of stylists and barbers did not have their structure right. They didn't have these LLCs we were talking about. They didn't have EINs. They didn't have business bank accounts. They weren't depositing their cash. So to the government, you're not a business. So I'm like, oh snap. So the first thing I did was wrote out a little e-course about how to get your LLC in AZ. And then it kind of just snowballed. I learned about business credit, and then I started kind of doing business credit. And with the business credit, I kept seeing on the internet, you can get a car under your business name without using your social. And I'm like, is this true?
Yeah, I keep seeing that.
Is this true?
Get your G-Wagon.
Right. Yeah. You can write the whole thing off, right?
Yeah. And
What she
so,
said, go far for that okey doke.
right. Like, for real. So I'm like, all right, well, let me see. I'm going to try to get a car under my business name. And so I built my business credit to, what all these courses I took and videos I watched. And I'm like, all right, y'all, let's go in the dealership and see what it do. And it worked.
Really?
And so I was like, oh, snaps. All right, we may be on to something. And so I bought my first car. I always wanted a Jeep Wrangler, but it was just expensive and gas guzzler. So I'm like, I'm going to get this car and I'm going to put it on Turo. So when I want to drive it, I can drive it. But when I need that bill paid, they'll be paying the bill. And so that's kind of how I got into Turo. That Jeep was doing so well. And so I got 3 other cars. So now I got 4 cars. And then I've always built like my salon solely off social media. Solely off social media. Like, I enjoy Instagram. I enjoy posting. And so that's how I built my salon brand. So then I rolled out like a social media marketing agency called Post Hive. And I was like, look, I'll run your content for you. I'll create it. I'll post it. Or I have a membership community where it has all the tools for someone to efficiently run their own page. There's templates. I put captions. I put a monthly content table or calendar. Because a lot of times people just don't know what to say.
Yeah.
What to say. So I'm like, I'm going to tell you what to say, and you just say it and make it apply to your business. And look, when AI rolled out, I'm like, oh yeah, we really in the game now. Like, that's my best friend.
Okay.
Like,
okay.
You mentioned you got the Jeep,
yes.
and I've done some research on Turo.
Okay.
That's one of the top rented cars in itself.
It
So
is.
did you choose that based off of that, or?
I didn't.
Okay.
I literally chose that car because I wanted it. So it had nothing to do with the numbers.
This
I
is
didn't.
Brianna.
Yeah, so
I love
Okay.
it.
I did. So I just be going with the flow.
dig
You know,
it.
where the wind blows. Sometimes we gonna figure it out.
Yeah.
There's a Jeep community though.
I know.
Learn.
I haven't ducked people and stuff like that because really my Jeep is gone all the time. I never really drive it. Like, and honestly, I'm glad I did it this way because I remember I had it like for a week straight. So I'm like, I'm gonna just drive it. I realized I really don't like this Jeep. It's heavy. I
Really?
like to speed and maneuver through traffic, and I'm just like, "Ooh, I'm scared to get over. I'm gonna just stay in the right hand lane the whole time so I can exit nice." And then I just feel like I'd be going 70 and then be like, "Ooh, I'm going fast," and I'm like it's heavy. It's like a
Really?
Tonka truck, and then I gotta like jump up in it. I don't love it as much as I thought,
Yeah.
but I really got that car just because I wanted it.
I have a question. Can I? Is that a thing?
Absolutely.
Can I ask?
Is that a thing?
How do you like separate, like the emotional part of what you're associated with your investments? Because I know a lot of people who they'll come to me about business, and we'll do like a business development consult, and they'll be so emotionally invested into the stuff that they don't even realize the bigger picture. How did you get to that point of investing in 4 cars and being like, I'm okay with the worst case scenario, but here's the best case scenario, and at the end of the day, these are assets that are going to make me money? How did you develop that mindset?
I think number one, I don't care about cars. Number one of my friends, he's like a car person, and so I'm like, this is not for you because you like cars, it's your thing. I really don't care about cars at all, so I have no emotional attachment to any car. But also, I think I understand this is an asset for my business, and also worst case scenario is the car gets totaled. That would be the worst case scenario in that situation, but I'm protected.
In all of those reasons.
You know what I mean? I have Gap insurance, I have great insurance, Toro has insurance, so I feel like I covered all of my bases that if we got worst case scenario, I'll be fine. And also, it's not my only vehicle, so it's not my personal vehicle, so if someone were to get in an accident, I'm not completely out of a car at all.
Yeah.
I'm just like, okay, well, I gotta wait for this insurance to take how long insurance decides it wants to take.
Yeah.
But I have Gap insurance, so that's gonna kick in if the insurance don't.
So I worked for insurance for 10 years. So
All right, give me all the juice.
as long as you, they don't saying this, as long as you follow all the parameters within that gap,
Right.
you have to follow that contract. Like she said, everything's really a contract. And some
That's
people
true.
came in and like, oh, you missed section A. It
So
don't
one
apply.
thing is for my cars, I have commercial insurance, and the insurance that I have is specifically for people with vehicles on this peer-to-peer sharing market.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Because so that's important. So a lot of finance companies and insurance companies don't like this whole peer-to-peer world that we're in. And yes, there's loopholes that you can take. Just say I got Progressive and someone gets to an accident. If they know if it's for business use, they cannot insure that claim. But if you're like, hey, I just let Jimmy borrow my car, then you're covered. But then maybe Jimmy talked too much, and Jimmy ain't on, you and Jimmy ain't on the same wavelength. He's like, yeah, so I rented the car, and Jimmy
Oh, man.
Jimmy done messed it
Yeah.
up. You know what I mean? And people do that. So I'm like, we just gonna skip all of that and get the right insurance. And honestly, it's cheaper. I literally pay $75 per car. It's way cheaper than when I had a traditional commercial policy through I think Progressive, and I was paying hundreds per vehicle.
Yeah.
So just set your stuff up right. We always try to like skip steps and get loopholes. Just set your stuff up right, and then you don't have to worry. And that peace of mind is priceless. Like it is priceless.
I saw something the other day talking about something like that. When you cut corners or when you cheat, you're gonna pay on the back end.
Man,
Yeah.
Literally, I always
Man.
say buy cheap, buy twice.
Yep.
That's my thing.
That's
Like
exactly
buy cheap, buy
what it
twice.
is. Yeah.
Because the
That's
quality of it is, it's terrible. And that's
Yeah.
I work in sales or worked in sales, and it was, you could do it one of 3 ways. You can get it cheap and fast, but it ain't gonna be good.
Right.
Or you get it good and cheap, but it ain't gonna be fast.
Right.
So you gotta
Yeah.
pick your poison.
You gotta
on it.
pick it right.
Choose whatever 2 you want, but yeah, you ain't gonna get all 3, my man.
No.
And it's okay to acknowledge when you're not an expert in something and that
Yeah.
you don't have all of the answers. Like sometimes people feel obligated to come up with these, like I see it all, y'all, like the fanciest of business plans and ideas and those things, and then you're like, for me, I'm always like, how can we simplify this? Because this looks like a lot of work.
You're doing too much.
And for the amount of money I'm going to charge you for it, you don't even have to pay. Or you're not going to be willing to pay it because it's like this is exacerbating for no reason. How do we like mitigate some of this stuff and move this over here and make it easier for you? Like I have clients who are like, I want to have 5 businesses and I got 5 different LLCs and they all do the same thing, but I got 5 of them, and it's like,
For what?
why?
Yeah,
Why
that-
do you want that? Why do you do that?
Right.
Like that's just, we are in this phase, and it's so beautiful, of wanting entrepreneurship and wanting to be business owners. But like Bree and I talked about on our I was about to say podcast.
On our
On our live.
Please.
right. The plug not here yet. But on our live, we talked about everybody isn't meant for entrepreneurship.
Somebody got to be employees.
Yeah.
There are bosses and then there are employees, and there are some people who are great number 2s. It is okay if you
Yes.
are a good number 2,
Yeah.
right?
Co-pilot. There's
Like
co-pilots.
we
for
be
reasons.
needing number 2s, but
You
it's
gotta
not
have
enough for
number
y'all
2.
because y'all want to be number 1.
Everybody want to be number 1. Everybody want
I
to be
got
the
a
chief.
question though. What I figured out the other day is, So I was trying to be number ones in everything.
You can't. It's
Exactly.
impossible.
I
Yeah.
learned it. I
Yeah.
had to learn it.
Right.
Like, you know, I didn't sit. I'm supposed to be number 2 here.
And that's okay.
Mhm.
Like literally, look, number 2 is a comfy place to be sometimes.
Yeah.
Like,
You don't get the headaches that number
man,
one.
like, listen, I literally told myself in 2023, I'm not starting no more businesses by myself. All of my business, my salon, Turo, business coaching, I have all these solo businesses where I have to do everything. And I told myself, I'm not starting any more businesses without a partner or multiple partners. I'm not doing it because it's just like,
It's too much work.
yes,
Yeah.
it is.
It's
Like, it
draining.
sounds great, but it's
Yeah.
not. It's not all.
And then you get to a
good
point to
women.
where you're bottlenecking, because even in my industry, like I got to a point where it was like, okay, if I don't hire people, this is how much money I'm not gonna make. And then
Right.
once my mind shifted to like, all right, it's cool if you clear this couple 6 figures, but it's even better if you actually focus, get some more people on your team, get some assistants, get data entry, get a social media manager, get all of these people so you can focus on what it is that you
That
really
you
want to
really
focus
want-
on.
yeah, that
And
you-
then the numbers are actually going to scale because now you have help.
Yep.
Yeah.
As opposed to trying to run a ship by yourself and be the server and the
No.
bartender
Yeah,
and the
you-
waiter and all of those
I'm
people.
glad you said
No.
that.
You can't be the expert on everything.
It's
Mhm.
You
impossible.
know, at the end of the- at the
And
end
you
of-
shouldn't want to be.
Right.
If you want to be the accountant and the social media manager, you have bigger problems in your business if your desire is to be both.
I mean, it's great to want to have that knowledge.
Oh,
You
for
should
sure.
know a little bit
You
about
should-
it.
Yeah, about every
Yeah,
aspect.
exactly.
But
But you got to have the experts on
Right.
What it is
what
that they're
their
supposed
expert
to.
is, their
Right.
expertise is.
What's your
Yeah.
niche?
Yeah, because the
That's
thing is,
right.
it's just like you need to hire the smartest people. Like, because you can't be smart in everything.
Right.
Like, I can be smart over here, but when you're talking about this, that's not my thing. Like,
That's-
that's why I hired Deja to do my accounting.
That's years
And my
of
bookkeeping.
years
Right.
of experience.
Yeah.
You know.
and then
Wow.
you like my number one question to my clients when I see them getting into that, I call it the cocky phase, the 6-figure phase.
gosh.
I'm
Not
like,
the-
because everybody
not
feels
saying-
like they just like,
Not saying I like rich, but 6 figures,
is not enough.
$1 million really ain't a lot when there's billionaires in this
But
world.
people don't understand that when you are the first to, reach some of these pillars,
I agree.
and your
Yeah.
mind is like, I'm just glad I can pay my bills with my business.
I
You
feel
know,
that.
Yeah.
there's
Come back
so
to
many
the hood.
people who are like
Yeah,
that.
100.
So
Yeah.
I always reel it in, and I'm like, you have to start thinking about the money that you're not making because you are trying to wear all of these hats and be all of these different people, and you're trying to market to a mass audience. Figure out who your people are. When you define this is the kind of client I want, ideally this is who I want to work with, millions of them come. But when you try to keep reaching out to millions of
No.
people, you get a couple of hundred.
Narrow it
She's
in.
dropping
Yeah.
So
gems.
you have to really like dial in on what are the aspects about my business that's going to build a company. Everybody wants to be, I'm an S corp now, and
Right.
I'm transitioning, and they said don't be LLC no more. That's not cool. No, it's not about it being cool. It's about you
Right.
saving money on taxes.
Right.
And talked to somebody earlier today, a client, and she's like, I need you to do it because honestly, I don't even know why my CPA changed me to an S corp. And I was like, what did she change? She's like, I'm an S corp now. And I was like, what does that mean? And she said, I don't know.
No idea.
Just moved the box.
Yeah, she said, I don't know. And I was like, okay, well, here's number one, a myth. If you structured your company as an LLC, it is still an LLC.
Right.
The formation structure did not change. The
Right.
taxation structure changed.
Correct.
So you are an LLC taxed as an S corporation.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing wrong with that, but those mean two completely different things
Yeah.
from you starting day one with your formation structure as a subchapter versus you just transitioning and filing at 2553 and then being taxed as an S corp.
Right.
Yeah.
But when you do that, that's how you start to get some lines separated about who you are versus who your business is.
Yeah.
But you can't say you want that on paper, but you don't really keep up that in your bank. Keep up with that in your bank account. So
Yeah.
that's the most important thing.
That's very interesting because I've done a lot of, I've been wearing a lot of hats myself,
Right.
getting into this whole thing. But I've learned that a lot of the big companies are LLCs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you think of like the Rocket Mortgages and you
The
know, what have you.
Googles, the
Yeah, they're all LLCs.
Mhm.
So I don't know why people would even. I guess
Because
of the
social
misconception.
media, yeah.
The internet.
yeah.
The internet's
So-
telling everybody who and what they supposed to be.
But then on Facebook, it ain't true, right?
Well,
Yep.
I mean, I run across notaries who have switched themselves.
Mm-hmm.
To an escort?
Like you saying, I think it's all that, or social media, or whatever it is, and they're struggling because they don't understand the difference.
They don't know
Right.
anything.
Yeah.
Deadline is March 15th, by the way, for my S corporations. So many people don't know that the rules change.
Yeah, it's not what, April, whatever.
It's not April 18th. It's March 15th when you are an S corporation. And bigger than March 15th when you're an S corporation. I'm sorry. And bigger than that, yes, there are many benefits to being an S corporation, but there are also many disadvantages if you don't bring in the income to even get the benefits of
But
it.
I thought that's when you changed. Like, so for me, that's when my salon changed to an S corp because we were making so much money.
Exactly.
So it made
More
financial sense to switch
change.
because I would be saving more in taxes.
Exactly.
Because that's so my accountant ran it as normal, and then it was just like, this not looking good.
Mm-hmm.
If we switch to an S corp, this is
Then it'll be
how
fine.
it would look better.
Yeah.
So,
For sure. But even with that, it's like, okay, well, do you at least have quarterly estimates set up coming out of your account? Or, because at the end of the day, you're still going to get hit with a bill at the end of the year. You're still going to get a 17% penalty. You're still going to get, everything that you still, all the protocols that you didn't follow when you were an LLC. If you still plan on not following those same things,
Right.
you're going to get hit with the same problem. So, all in all, it's not about taxes. It's just more about the ethics of your business. And one thing we touched on, if you don't know what the operations are of your business, be it financial, be it the day-to-day SOPs, being whatever it is that it's going to be on how your business runs, you're going to struggle. So you need to understand what those things are in order to actually grow and develop and scale successfully.
right. But also, like when me and you were Tom were talking about, one thing I've noticed, so I stopped stressing about money like years ago.
This girl.
And not because I got a lot of
That's a
it.
flex.
No, it's not.
No, but
It is not.
it's really a mindset.
No, but it is.
It is.
But it is a mindset.
It is
You're
a
right.
mindset, and I realize and I understand money is currency.
So we used to.
So it's fluid. It flows. It goes out and it comes in, and you stop the flow coming when you try to hold it all. Like no, you have. I'm not saying you need to just throw it away, but also like the shit gonna come back. Like I ain't never gonna be broke.
I got a principle that
Okay.
I was taught, and I don't know what context I was taught this in, but scared money don't make money.
Right.
You can't die with it.
Two.
All these things are said, and they're all true, but you've applied that to a business world. A lot of people are applying that to everyday life, like you said, the scarcity.
Right.
If I can't see around this, what I always say, if I can't see around the corner, I can't trust what I know is around the corner.
Right.
Because I can't see it. I can't
Yeah.
even fathom
Yeah.
getting across the corner. So I gotta watch every single step I take,
True.
and it's a
I
long
just
process.
feel like it's just so much fucking money in the world.
It is.
It's so much money in the world.
So we had
So there's no reason why I need to be stressed.
agreed.
Granted, I'm not about to get evicted, so that's so that could be a thing.
Alleviates the stress.
You know what I mean?
You know
so
what?
I get that, but
I think for what it is, just because I deal with people literally on a daily basis with this stuff. Yes, there's a lot of money in the world, but whatever you are willing to do for it is gonna determine how much you actually get out of it. So like there are people who
That's facts.
will their initial investment in their business might be $500, and they will swear to themselves that $500 can make them $5 million. The law of numbers will let you know that nothing in this world will
The
cost
law of
$500 for you. You nowhere in life will you
And the
invest
casino,
$500.
baby.
No,
Say that again.
nowhere in life, including the casino.
So was it?
Nowhere,
And those schemers.
nowhere
Come across
in
you.
life.
Okay.
Give them $100 and
Nowhere,
make you $5,000.
nowhere in life in
Don't
the
do that.
history of the world will you turn 500 to 5 million in any business ever.
Mhm.
But people are so consumed with this idea of fast money, right? And I see it because I have a lot of beauty clients and things like that. They're so consumed with this idea of getting money quickly that they don't realize they absorb it even quickly, because the problem is when you get money so fast, you actually get uncomfortable when it's sticking around.
Yeah.
Like you are nervous, like, why I got this extra $100? I should go to the mall. Like that's the mindset of so many people. So in my advisory consultations, my first questions are, what is your relationship with money and what are your goals?
Yeah.
Your top 3 goals. Because if you telling me your relationship with money is toxic and it's up and down and you don't know how to save it, but you tell me your top 3 goals are to buy a new house, buy a new car, and start a trust for your kid,
Right.
those things don't mix. So now we gotta align the path of how to make your goals make sense.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people understand that. It ain't about the money that you make, it's about the money that you keep.
That's
and so,
it.
and that's my thing. Like, I can make money all day long. Like,
Literally, this girl
I can make money all day long. Like, look, because I ain't too look, if I got a DoorDash,
She will do
if
something.
it came down to it, I'm a DoorDash and I'm a delivery. Hey, it's $3. Here's your McDonald's French fries. Like, look, I'm making money, okay? You know what I mean? Or I'm gonna go speak on someone's big stage. You gonna cut me a check? Like, I'm gonna get money. I don't care if it's $3 or $3,000. Like, I'm gonna get $1, but I am not good at the retention part of it. Like, and I'm gonna be honest. Like, I'm not good. Like, I take it in all day long, but it's like keeping it.
That's a
different
whole.
story.
That's a whole nother
Right, it's
story.
a
That's
whole-
where I'm a retention master.
Yeah, she's a.
I don't play like I'm very A-type. Well, obviously the line of work I am in kind of requires me to be this way with other people, but even for myself, like at the end of the day, like who wants a broke accountant? Like, that's not cute. Like what does it even look like? Because honestly, even when I look to mentorship or look for someone else, you know, and try to go under their tutelage, my first question is how much money do you have?
That's a great
So
word.
what's
I
that?
don't need to talk.
Oh,
I don't need to talk to nobody about how they're gonna help me and change my life if you don't have any money.
So
or
you
if you don't
ask
have
them
money.
like how much money
Absolutely,
you
100%. Like I'm at a
have?
meeting.
Lie.
I'm at a meeting with my broker. No, but then you start forming relationships where they are open with you about it because now I want to learn your methods to grow and scale those kind of numbers. And even just my relationship with my brokerage for my license for advisory. First meeting, how much money do y'all make? I don't care about none of this. Like, forget all that. Like, how much money do y'all make? Because if your numbers tell a story, you can make $100,000 in a month and you can spend $100,000 in a month. That is a story. Like that's literally it. You can make $100,000, and if you able to save 50 to 60, I can trust you with something. We can grow this. You know, we can start looking at other levels. And when it comes to investing, the kind of investor you are is going to be determined by your relationship with money.
So is that why I done fired 3 accountants? Because I never asked them how much money they got?
You fired 3 accountants because they were compliance accountants and not advisory accountants.
That's why.
And they didn't want to communicate with you, you know, and everybody's like so smart and, you know, all these professionals in these different industries. But you have to have those honest conversations like, so what is it about your business that can help me, you know? And I'm never one to be like, let me buy for you and tell you. But I'm very honest about what my bottom line is with my clients. If you're not making no money, if you're not growing, what does that say about me? What does that say about my business?
Yeah.
Because if you report a negative 5 years in a row, eventually it's like, what's Deja doing over there? You know, like
Just filing
Where's
your-
she?
just filing your
everything.
But how does that fall wholly on you if the business ain't making money?
I wouldn't say it falls wholly. I would say that as an advisory accountant, I do set a certain standard with my clients because nobody's in business to go broke.
Yeah.
Nobody's in business just because they
Right. I
just
could go
love
work
something.
at somebody's
Yeah, like
company,
you're just so
right.
passionate, so I just love it. That's why I do it for free. Nobody's doing that.
Nonprofit?
And I have clients who I have them too. I have clients who I have conversations with, and they might be in, let's say, coaching or something, life coaching, and they're like, and I'll start to ask them uncomfortable questions like, how comfortable are you with increasing your prices? You don't charge enough. And we'll talk about that, and they'll say, I'm just so passionate. I'm just so passionate. But again, remember, my first 2 questions: what's your relationship, and what are your goals? So I know out of those 2 questions, when you tell me your second goal is to at least make $20,000 a month, you do care about the money you make. You do care about scaling. So you can't follow that up with, I'm just here for the people. No, you're not here for the people. Like, you love the people, but also on top of that, you have to live a sustainable life and you want to leave a legacy for your people.
Right.
And to do that, you have to create like fiscal money.
What's the disclaimer you put at the bottom? What does it
I'm
say?
a non-attorney,
What
non-paid spokesperson.
There it is.
Oh,
There it is. That's
yeah,
the
I'm
one.
That's me.
That's what I'm gonna say. I'm a non-attorney, non-accountant, because I be talking about business structure.
Yeah,
I'm like, this
this
is
is
my
like-
advice.
What's crazy is one of my clients today, she started an LLC and she asked me something, and I started to give her your information because I'm like, I don't do this. Like, I don't do
Yeah.
formation. I don't like it. So go talk to somebody. Get somebody else to do it.
Right.
And I was, but I didn't know if you want. She got hers. She didn't use it.
Man.
So to do a little send off, you know, I told you I was gonna ask you a
Close.
question.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's gonna be business
I
related.
got a question.
All right. Yeah. No
You got a
business
question?
purposes really. Oh,
My question's difficult though. Go ahead.
Ooh.
it's
No,
difficult.
let's ask the difficult question
Yeah.
first.
All right. So
Mine's fun.
we're gonna start over
Deja
here.
first.
Okay.
Loyalty or respect?
Ooh. Respect. Because I think that you can be loyal to someone that you don't respect, number one. However, I think that in order for people to respect you, they don't necessarily have to like you, and that is okay. I could go into this whole thing, but basically, I read how Jeff Bezos said he doesn't want everybody to like him. If everybody likes you and your company, then you have a problem. If the people that's stocking the shelves and in the manufacturing company and all of them feel like you're the best person ever in life, then you have a flaw in your business, because where does the respect start and where does the admiration stop, you know? So, yeah, I would say respect over loyalty. I've had people who haven't been loyal to me, but they would never not respect me, just out of like, off the strength of who I showed them I was, and in certain boundaries you're not going to cross when you respect someone.
Nice answer. Miss?
I don't know if they're like two separate things though. I honestly feel like you can't respect somebody and not have some sort of like loyalty. I feel like they kind of go hand in hand for me, because I feel like if I respect you, I'm gonna be loyal to you. And so
Politically correct.
I've heard it both ways. Keep it
I really get what you're saying.
Yeah,
I was
I like it,
like
I agree with it.
taking it in, and I'm like, I get that, but I feel like you start talking about people liking you.
Yeah.
Just 'cause I don't care about people like you, but they can still be loyal and not like you.
Right.
But I just feel like if I'm loyal to someone, I'm loyal out of respect for whatever it was. I'm loyal off the strength of whatever you did or who you are that makes me respect you. And so I don't know if I could be loyal and not respect someone, or respect somebody that I would not be loyal to.
But what happens if someone stopped having respect for you? Then what happens to the loyalty?
Generally,
feel
that's
like
when
it
the
will go
loyalty goes
away.
away.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
I feel
it's
like that's when the loyalty
So that's
ends.
why I'm like, if I have to choose,
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna choose the respect, because even if you wake up tomorrow and say, I don't want to be her friend, like I don't want to be loyal to her, whatever. At the end of the day, like
They still
you're,
gotta respect-
yeah, you're
they
not
gotta
gonna
respect
still
who
let
you
people
are.
talk about me. You're
Yeah.
not about to go tell my business because of the
You
respect.
might.
If you respected me, you
I
wouldn't.
agree, yeah,
but that
you're
doesn't
right.
mean that you're loyal
Let
to
me
the
interject
relationship.
here.
Okay.
So it's subjective, as we know.
Yes.
It can be both. It can be one. It just depends on the person.
Right.
Right.
That's it. That's why I
We just
asked.
learned something about each other.
But no, I feel like we did learn something about each other, but also I feel like it goes to our personality.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Deja's very black and white, and I thought I was black and white until I met Deja.
You got a lot of gray areas.
My girl a little gray.
Y'all the whole gradient right there, bro. That's
Like
the
I
cool
thought
thing.
I used to tell everybody it's just black and white, and I'm
Yeah,
just like,
I'm
nah,
very,
bitch, nah. You on the
You
grayscale.
either here or you there.
Right, and I'm just like, a lot of things I just don't care about. So I think that's
Yeah.
where I fall in the gray, because I'm just like,
It
that
is
take,
what it is.
it take too much energy,
Yeah,
and
for
I don't
sure.
got it.
For sure.
So it's whatever.
And I would say, even if I don't care about something, I still have to speak up. Because for me,
Yeah.
it's like, you're not about to play me.
Yeah, I'm not.
Like, and that's just how I am. Like, I don't, like, for real, I don't even really gotta care. But you still, at the end of the day, gonna hear this message because you're not about to play
I'm
my
not.
game.
You might have to.
And you've seen it. I would try to walk away from something like, let me be nice, let me, not even, like, I'm not gonna go there with you. But once you draw me back in, I'm like, here are the facts of the situation.
Okay.
And then to me, the facts of a situation give me peace. Like, and that's why with anybody, if I'm a good person, if I move with integrity and like I'm honest and I didn't do nothing to you, if you want to leave out of my life tomorrow, you can do that, because I'm okay with the facts of the situation. I did my best by you, but like I'm not okay with you making up your own, stuff about who I am or who I was to you. And to me, I'm okay with being able to like analyze a whole situation and saying, these are the things that actually happened, and these are your opinions.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm with you.
Here you go.
No, but I think that's why I like Deja, because she's very
Oh,
direct, but not in a mean way. There's some people who are direct and like their intentions is to like
She's mean.
tear you down,
Oh, she's
but like that's not her approach. And I think it's really good, because for me, I feel like sometimes I just don't address it because I just don't know the eloquent words to say that. Like, I'm not trying to be harsh, but it's gonna come out
You just
real.
blunt.
It's gonna come out real
Yeah.
nasty.
Yeah.
You know what I
mean
mean?
well, though.
Right. Right.
I mean,
With
well,
love at the end. With
Respect.
love.
Respectfully, right.
Right, so I'm just like, you know what? We don't even need to go down there. It
Yeah.
it ain't that.
But
deep.
that's where we balance each other, and I've gotten the question several times, like, how do you and Bree work together and all that? Because,
I
you
can
know,
see
we're
it.
two powerhouse people, but I think our strength is that, number one, we actually like each other. Like, that helps to me. Like, when you're actually like, bro, I like you in real life.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to, it just goes back to your question, I'm going to respect you because I like who you are. And even just before I met her and the idea was brought for us to come on a platform together, and I was like, she looks like she works hard, so I'm absolutely willing to have the conversation. Like, I'm just cool with the appearance that you work hard. Like,
Yeah.
so I was alright with that. I was like, she looked like, I'm like, she gotta be doing something. Like,
Right.
you know, and then when you actually get to know a person and you get to see how they operate and you get to see that you guys don't think exactly the same, it's even better because it's like she thinks about pieces of a puzzle that I didn't necessarily consider.
Yeah.
And I think about the pieces that because my question's like, well, how much money is that? Like, how much money you gonna make? Okay, well, how many people do you need to make this amount of money?
Right.
And she's really like, do I even have the energy and is the money even worth
Right,
it?
like
Y'all the
yeah.
yin
And I
yang.
love that she thinks that way because
Right.
it makes me think like that, you know, like even more in depth because the minute she comes to me with an idea, I'm like, all right, you need this many people to do it this many times. This is how much money you're going to have at the end of the year. That's how my brain works.
Right, real quick. I'm like, how you do that now?
Real fast. I'm like, this is $100,000. You need this how many people you need right here.
Let's go to Vegas, man. We can play some blackjack, man.
Yo,
But yeah.
I'm gonna be in Vegas. Literally, I'll leave tomorrow.
Yeah.
But when I tell you I'm finna play a blackjack, I went to my daughter's birthday, my daughter's school event, into a raffle on Friday and won. I was at an event on Sunday, entered a raffle and won. So I'm just like, oh, I'm on
It's
the
your time.
lucky
It's
streak.
your time.
I need to.
You need to
I
go.
play some numbers, right?
Yeah.
Turn that 500 into 5
Yeah,
million. There you go.
There it is. That's how you do it right there. Roulette.
Okay, right.
Everybody's still
Literally.
up.
Right.
Man, well, I appreciate having y'all, man. It's been so
Of course.
enlightening.
Yeah, it's been fun.
You guys are awesome.
Thank you.
It's been a good time. Thank you
Yeah.
guys for having us.
Absolutely. You're welcome back. You know, the door's open.
Yes, all right. Y'all gonna see us again. Y'all heard it first. No.
Absolutely.
So take that. Yeah, we said it.
Miss Bree Bucks, Miss Deja Benton.